How are you all this fine day? I hope that if you're here, you subscribe to this channel if you're not already, and you check out everything that's down below. A fun description box, the like button, subscribe button, comment section for whatever you have to say. It's all there. Go ahead, check it out. And today we're discussing just the concept around being limited. A lot of the dialogue, I think, that I want to promote and other positive influences promote is that, you know, if you're neurodiverse or if you're disabled, then you by all means can and should be able to, or have the right to at least, do what you want to do and live the life that you want to without setbacks and being accommodated accordingly. But the problem with that, it breezes over the fact that regardless of however much you do, if we're in a magical world where we were all accommodated as we needed to be our best selves, that doesn't necessarily mean we take out the fact that we have limitations for ourselves. I mean, same goes true for neurotypical people, but for neurodiverse and disabled people, it's a whole different scale of, you know, how much can I do and how much can I push myself to do. A lot of what I see and what I experience is when you're passing and you're not visibly disabled, then it's very normal or easy to say that, you know, you can do more than you think, you can tough it out, you're strong enough, you're capable enough, which, okay, cool, love that. But in reality, as many encouraging words as you might think, or even just ignorance, which can be often what it is, but I'm never going to be able to exert as much energy as other people. I won't be able to communicate and be in environments that are really stimulating, and that's just how it is. And it's really discouraging when everyone else around you is telling you, yes, you can do it, you can do all the things, but it's not necessarily the case. And the problem with that is it doesn't have to be wrong if you can't do the same amount. And there shouldn't be any sort of extra explanation, which takes its own energy out of it, to say, you know, I am disabled and I do things differently and I need accommodations, and even then it's still challenging. And I think I definitely see this, since a lot of the language is around doing. I see a lot of it around, you know, to realistically be able to afford different things in life, it is usually a case that you should work full-time. Plain and simple. For me, that's not sustainable. As much as I would love to be able to just pick anything up and do what the world does, I'm inevitably going to burn out. And that's not healthy for me. And when everyone else around the room is telling me, you can't not work full time, you know, you feel really stuck, you feel really helpless, and you just feel defeated. Like, what's the point then if all these voices are telling me I shouldn't have limits, but I do? So what do I do about that? And as with most things, the most important piece of this is that you recognize that. You are aware of who you are and what you need, and you also know what is most draining to you. What can feel super energizing, but what can feel just really hard. And in a realistic sense, what does that look like? Is there a certain number of hours that you are able to do? Or is there a certain way that we can improve things? Great questions there. And that can go in any sort of sense. Whether you mean I need a job, but I can only do part-time. Or you're in school and you're expected to take a certain amount of course load, and that's not realistic for you. Compassion and empathy is really key. Because just because you're not at whatever full neurotypical standard is, that doesn't mean you're not capable and that doing less is somehow wrong. Because you are the way you are. In a good way and sometimes not so fun of way. But regardless, you can't necessarily spend all of your time trying to fit into a different mold that's not meant for you. And that will just lead to really unhealthy circumstances that I don't wish upon anyone. And saying a lot of this is easy, because if you're privileged enough, then how much does it matter? If you're not depending on working constantly for minimum wage or what have you, then what are we doing here? I acknowledge that I'm in a privileged place, but I still think it's important to do what you can where you are. And if that just looks like getting by and living despite it all, then you do that. And that's great. But also know that you deserve to be acknowledged and accepted as whatever you are, and to live a comfortable life like that. It's not true for most people, which angers me, but you do. And I hope this conversation doesn't discourage you, because it can feel really just, you can feel like a failure for thinking, why can't I do all of that? I should be able to do all of that. But when you're working on a different scale and a different wavelength, if you will, it's all about relearning what is best for you, which can feel counter to what everything else is. But I believe in us, I believe in you, we got this, and limits are not a bad thing. Limits are healthy. And let's just form a positive conversation around that. Feel free to leave in the comments below whatever's on your mind. If there's anything that stirs up for you, And I thank you so much for being here. Subscribe and like if you haven't already. And I'll see you all next time.